Ladies and gentlemen, this is Broadcasting Esports. This is the Groups to the Knockouts edition. We're going to discuss what happened in the groups, what is most likely going to happen in the knockout stages as well, and what the actual hell happened in those group stages. We had Flash Wheels going undefeated in the first 6 games, losing the first game against Fnatic. We had RNG somehow still finishing first despite Flash Wheels having such a very, very strong start to the group stages. We had Kingzone Dragon X not performing to how they should have been performing. They were expected to be the heavy favourites coming into the group stages. They just did not perform how people expected them to. We had Fnatic, we had a little bit of an up and down. We had Reckless not performing to how people were expecting him to perform. We had Caps performing completely out of his mind during the vast majority of the group stages. We even had Weepo playing much better than people were expecting to be able to give him credit for. And Brox as well played much better, but the star player in Fnatic, Reckless, has just not had a good group stages whatsoever. If you look at Kingzone Dragon X, we have Khan, who's expecting to be the wonder child of Korea. He was the best top laner, everyone found him absolutely fantastic. He comes into the group stages and he has seriously underperformed. In regards to Uzi, he has performed as expected. Everyone looked at Uzi. He has performed pretty much how everyone thought he was going to during the fill of groups. Unfortunately, the rest of Royal Never Give Up did not really perform to expectations. There was quite a lot of drop-off with the team. They do have a tendency to put all of their eggs into the Uzi basket. Luckily, it has paid off for them so far. If they do beat Fnatic and get into the finals, will it pay off for them then? Depending if they're up against Flash Wolves or Kingzone, I'm not too sure, but at the moment it is currently working for them. Flash Wolves, they have Maple. Maple has been performing top 2 mid laner of the tournament. That is when you have players like BDD in there as well, who is a very, very strong player. Part of the Korean team. He's meant to be best mid laners coming into the group stages, but he hasn't performed to that. Kingzone as a whole, they have really underperformed. They have finished third. They have still finished with a positive win-loss ratio. However, they haven't performed as they were expected to perform. They were expected to be a powerhouse. They were expected to finish first. I don't think anyone was really expecting them to finish at third. It's not really what is expected of them as a team. It is a bit disappointing for the Korean team. Hopefully, when they get into the knockout stages, they will perform better. However, they are going up against Flash Wolves. Flash Wolves do look incredibly strong. They did go 1-4 technically in the last 5 games. They lost the first game against Fnatic, then won 1, lost the other 2, and then in the tiebreaker lost against Royal Never Give Up as well, which means that they did unfortunately finish second. However, whether or not that was a case of Flash Wolves now being found out, or whether they're underperforming, or whether or not Flash Wolves simply just got complacent in the dying games of the group stages, I would edge more towards complacement. They were making mistakes that they weren't making in the first 6 games. I don't think that's how Flash Wolves are going to be playing against Kingzone. They already have the head-to-head against Kingzone. They are 2-0 up against them. More than likely, I do believe that to be either a competitive 5-game series, or I am expecting Flash Wolves to take that sort of a 3-1 or a 3-0 if I were to be completely honest with the situation. The standings are not as expected. I think most people were expecting sort of a Kingzone first, Royal Never Give Up second, and Fnatic and Team Liquid sort of edging for that 3rd and 4th spot. A lot of people kind of overlooked Flash Wolves coming into it, but as I said, 6 games undefeated, that secured them the knockout stages. Surprisingly, unfortunately, they did lose a couple more games. Had they won that game against Fnatic, went undefeated for 7 games, that would have clinched them the 1st spot, and that would have been absolutely fine. However, unfortunately, they did lose the games that they lost. Royal Never Give Up managed to pick the team that they want to play against. They've picked Fnatic. Looking at it as well, EVOS Esports, I don't really think people were expecting them to perform how they did. They did, however, only win 2 games, but that was against both Fnatic and against Team Liquid. Fnatic being 4th, of course, Team Liquid being 5th. EVOS have shown that they can take games off of the Western teams. They have taken games off both LCS teams, Fnatic, Team Liquid. It was close games, and both of the losses against those teams were relatively close games as well. In fact, most of the games that EVOS Esports played were very, very competitive matches. They weren't steamrolled. They did play to their strengths, they understood their win conditions, they played the macro very well, and they had very good aggressiveness when needed to be. They did perform much better than anyone was expecting them to. which is a good show, and hopefully in the future when it comes to Worlds, when it comes to future international tournaments, you will see the Vietnamese region play to that standard. We've seen Gigabyte Marines been able to sort of bring a different kind of flair, a different flavour to Worlds last year. They did perform pretty well. There was a lot of games, unfortunately, where they did get flat out stomped, but it did show that the Vietnamese region does have some strengths when it comes to playing in international tournaments. Now, I'm going to be looking at some of the champions that were picked during the group stages there. Some of them with their sort of bigger pick-ban ratio, being your Rakan, your Ornn, your Ezreal, your Kai'Sa. If I'm being completely honest, Kai'Sa did manage to get locked in a lot more than I was expecting, considering the ADC pool that we did have at MSI. It was picked in 8 games, it only won 5 of those games, it lost 3 of them. It did have a pick ban percentage of about 87.5, which is a lot lower than I was expecting, but it still does have a relatively low ratio of 62.5% for that type of champion that did have that high of a pick ban rate. But that does also apply to both Rakan and Ornn. You had Rakan, which has a 96.9% pick ban rate. It was the most contested pick at the group stages. It was picked in 9 games, it won 4 of those, it lost 5 of those. It is sort of at a losing win ratio. However, we have seen the champion's strengths. The champion does have a lot of good strengths with the current ADC meta. However, the results just haven't shown that. We have Ornn as well. Now, Ornn probably picked the most out of the most contested champions at a pick ban rate of 93.8%, but only has a win rate of 36.8. It was picked in 19 games. He won 7 of those games, he lost 12 of those games. So, although Ornn as a champion brings a lot to the table in regards to top lane, we haven't seen the results in a percentage wise. Now, whether or not that's it by being picked by teams that have been losing the games, teams like EVOS up against Kingzone, things like that, where it has been a major underdog picking the champion against massive favourites, whether that's tanking the percentage, we're not sure. In regards to the pick, of course, it is a good champion, it does bring a lot to the top lane. Unfortunately, the success rate just hasn't shown that. Now, the most successful champion out of the top 4 contested champions is the Ezreal. It's got an 83.3% pick ban rate, and I believe that was an 83.3% win rate as well. It was picked in 12 games, it had won 10 of those games, lost 2 of those games. Ezreal is a fantastic champion. I think we have seen players been able to dominate with that champion. Uzi has had a fantastic tournament whenever he's picked that champion. I believe Betty and Flash Wills has had a good tournament as well with that champion. It is a champion with a lot of strengths. It is a champion that we are most likely going to see in the knockout stages, that with the Ornn as well, most likely with the Rakan also. Those are probably going to be the 3 most contested picks. Kai'Sa is sitting at 4th with the most contested pick. There is a possibility that that is going to drop off, of course, with the games that it has been picked in. I don't believe that the Kai'Sa is going to be given to Uzi in the RNG Fnatic series. Whether or not the Kai'Sa will be in Betty's hands or be in Prey's hands, a different story. We haven't seen them play it majorly. We haven't seen them play it to the success that Uzi has, so that may be quite different, of course. And another pick I just wanted to throw in there was the Yasuo. Yasuo has a 50% pick ban ratio. It's got a 33.3% win ratio. It's been picked 6 times. It's won 2 of those games. It's lost 4 of those games. It is Yasuo being picked by Caps. It has 50% of that pick. I believe that Caps had picked the Yasuo against Kingzone. He also picked the Yasuo against Team Liquid, and he picked the Yasuo against Royal Never Give Up. He did win against Team Liquid. He did have an absolute amazing showing on there. He also did have a good showing against Royal Never Give Up. Unfortunately, they did lose that game. They lost that game over a throw. It should have been a 1 game. However, they had got the objective. They did get a bit greedy, and they essentially threw the game away, really. They tried to go all in on the Kog'Maw. That's for whatever reason, when there's a Tamken standing right next to it. Unfortunately, that did cost them the full game. However, RNG still won that game, but is it a case in which RNG won or Fnatic lost? I think more people would agree it is Fnatic straight up losing the game. They unfortunately threw the game. They had the lead in their hand. They could have done a lot more with it, but potatoes. I just wanted to pick up the top 5 KDAs in the tournament as well. It doesn't necessarily show who has been the best performing players, but it does show who's raking up the kills and dying less as well. You've got Uzi at the very, very top with 11.78 KDA. That is fully expected. Royal Never Give Up did finish first. They have been putting all their eggs in the Uzi basket. Uzi has been carrying the vast majority of games that they have been winning. It is kind of expected to see Uzi at the top of that table with the KDA that he has. We've also got Betty, 8.55. Again, Flash Wolves, they did finish second. and again it is an ADC meta really. So Betty has been popping off in the games that Flash Wolves have won. In the 6 games that they went undefeated, that is most likely where his KDA is coming from. Of course it won't be in the remaining sort of 5 games where they won 1, lost 4, but he has shown a fantastic showing. It's the same with Maple. Maple is still sitting at 7.83. Maple arguably is the top 2 mid laner at the tournament. Some people will quote Maple as the top mid laner, some people will quote Caps as the top mid laner. If I'm talking about myself, if I had to pick a player that I feel has been overperforming majorly, has been carrying the team, and has even been performing in games that they have been losing, I would have to pick Caps as the best mid laner at the tournament thus far. I would put Maple at a very, very close second. However, if you're looking at the games in which Fnatic are winning and Fnatic are losing, it is all around Caps, and even Caps is overperforming in the games that he is losing, whereas you can see that Maple isn't performing to the standard of his won games compared to when he's losing the game. Okay, now if I had to go into the power rankings for how I feel the tournament is going to end, so the power rankings that I've got going into the knockout stages, I do have in the first place Royal Never Give Up. I think Flash Wolves have shown some weaknesses. I do believe Flash Wolves will beat Kingzone, however, but I do believe if it does go to the final, Royal Never Give Up will take it over Flash Wolves. That's why I'm putting them first. That's why I'm putting Flash Wolves second as well. I do believe they will overtake Kingzone. They've been known to be able to go against Korean teams fairly well, and they have already went up 2-0 against Kingzone in the tournament. A lot of people are saying Kingzone are better in best of 5s. That may be the case, but Kingzone just haven't shown the skill set that was expected of them coming into the tournament. It is really hard for me to place them above Flash Wolves in regards to how the results have went. Kingzone obviously sit at 3rd. I believe Kingzone, they are the Korean team, they are the top Korean team, they should be performing better than they are. I do not think Fnatic are performing anywhere near Kingzone. I do believe Caps is probably performing better than all of the mid laners going into the knockout stages. However, Fnatic as a whole, unfortunately, they do have the bigger liability on their team compared to the other 3 teams there. Fnatic will be sitting 4th, Kingzone will be sitting 3rd. If we're looking at some of the underperformers, some of the overperformers that are going into the knockout stages, we have to look at sort of the 3, maybe 4 main underperformers that are going in. So we've got Can sitting in the top lane for Kingzone Dragon X. Can was expected to completely dumpster the vast majority of mid laners coming into this tournament. Unfortunately for Can, he just had not been performing to expectations whatsoever. I think the vast majority of players, vast majority of casters, commentators, analysts, they can look at that, they can see that he is not performing to the point that he was expected to perform at. He has been massively underperforming. Even on carries, he's just not been to the skill level that everyone was looking to see. Everyone was looking to see Can come in, they were looking to see him dominate the group stages, and they were looking to see him carry Kingzone to sort of a 10-0. That was expected. I think a lot of people thought Kingzone were going to finish about 10-0, 9-1, 8-2, sort of 8-2 being the very least, of course. Can, unfortunately, has been underperforming in that top lane. Looking at Fnatic, the major underperformer, unfortunately, it is being Reckless. Reckless has just not performed the way that he has in the European LCS. In the European LCS, he was able to pick the champions like Tristana, like Sivir. He was able to farm up and he was able to have fantastic team fights. In a lot of the games this tournament, he's not been able to do that. There has been some games. His Xayah game against Team Liquid is the final game in the group stages. He played absolutely amazing on, but that is the best that we have seen him in the tournament in a decider match. He's not been performing to the expectations. He's not been picking meta champions. He's been shying away from the Ezreal. He doesn't like playing the Ezreal. However, the Ezreal is one of the most contested picks in the tournament right now. For whatever reason, although he doesn't like playing the champion, you have to look at this champion. The champion has a massive win rate, has a massive pick ban rate. Everyone is saying that this is a fantastic champion to play. Why is it not being picked? Looking at Team Liquid, they've got Pole Belter and Impact. I don't think there was a lot of expectations in regards to Pole Belter, but there would have been some expectations in regards to Impact. However, they have still been underperforming. In the first 2 days, we did not really see anything from Team Liquid as a whole. I do believe Pole Belter and Impact kind of stood out as being sort of the bigger liabilities in those 4 games across those 2 days. Had they performed a little bit better, they might have been able to take some games off of the likes of EVOS. They might have not lost the first game against Fnatic. They might have been able to scrape into the 4th place over Fnatic had the results kind of gone their way. If we're looking at players that have overperformed, there is quite a few here that I would like to bring up. So first of all, we've got Hanabi playing for Flash Wolves. He has been absolutely solid. Now, when he was coming into Flash Wolves, he has been playing well, but there wasn't a lot of expectations. There wasn't a lot of people saying, look at this guy, watch what this guy's going to do, this guy's going to be the one to perform. There wasn't a lot of people saying that, and he has came into the group stages, he has performed exceptionally well, way over than what was expected. It's the same with Caps as well. Caps in the European LCS, he had some high highs, he had some low lows, but at the moment Caps is currently sitting at a high. He's currently sitting at a very, very high right now. He is performing out of his mind. A lot of people was expecting some tilt, and in the previous podcast that I had done, I did say that if Caps fell behind at any point in time, he is more likely to tilt because of the results and how things have went in the European LCS, what happens when he gets camped, what happens when he dies in the early game. It doesn't really matter. Caps is essentially playing with player names off. It doesn't matter what teams he's up against. He is playing 110%. He's giving it as much as he can. It doesn't matter what players in front of him. It doesn't matter if it's Maple. It doesn't matter if it's BDD. He's playing as if he's just playing a solo queue game or playing against other players in the European LCS. He's not putting anyone on a pedestal, and he is looking to go really hard and aggressive on the Korean team, on the Chinese team, on the Taiwanese team. He is going full out. He doesn't care who's playing against. He is playing out of his mind. Looking at Brox on Fnatic as well, Broxa was solid in European LCS. I don't think anyone was expecting him to underperform or expecting him to overperform. They were just looking for sort of like a standard, a very strong performance from him. However, he has been playing above that performance. Maybe not to the point of Caps, of course, but he has been playing majorly above that performance. He has been playing much better than what was expected of him. Going ahead and looking at Betty as well, Betty playing for the Flash Wolves has been stellar, to say the least. He has been popping off in the games that Flash Wolves have won. He has been performing very, very well in those games, and that has been part of the reason why Flash Wolves were able to go undefeated in the first 6 games. Betty and Maple were just performing so well, which is some of the reasons why they were able to go undefeated. And 2 players I'd just like to bring up from EVOS, Stark and Slay. I think those were the 2 players that stood out in EVOS esports. Unfortunately, as I said, they only managed to win the 2 games. However, they did play exceptionally well for the games that they did play. In the games that they won, they played fantastic. Even in the games that they lost, they were very competitive. And those were the 2 players that stood out for me. Just want to talk about the 2 games that are going to be coming up on the Friday and the Saturday. The Friday is going to be Royal Never Give Up versus Fnatic. Now, if we are to look at the 2 win conditions for both of these teams, first of all, we're going to look at Fnatic. We're going to look at probably the biggest win condition, and that's Reckless. It's having Reckless not put Uzi on a pedestal, and that's how it feels like when Fnatic have been playing against Royal Never Give Up. He feels like he's playing to not make a mistake rather than playing to win the lane. And when you play like that, Uzi is just going to walk all over you completely. If you're playing to not make any mistakes rather than playing to beat your opponent, you can't expect to win that lane. Your opponent is going to take any mistake, any light sort of footing that you give him, he will take that and he will run with it, and that is shown with Uzi against Fnatic in the past 2 games that they have played. If you're looking at the best way for Fnatic to win those games, look at Caps. Caps at the moment is on fire. Caps is playing absolutely fantastic. Put him on a roaming champion, put him on the Talia, put him on the Aurelion Sol, let him work the map the way he has done in the games that he's played those champions. Or put him on a carry, put him on a Yasuo. He's shown that he's ready to play the Yasuo, he wants to play the Yasuo. Put him on there. Give Broxa. Broxa's been playing fantastic on the Trundle. Maybe try and keep him on the Trundle. You've got Bwipo on the top lane that has had good Sion game. He's very comfortable on that champion. He's also shown to be very, very good in the top lane with Ornn as well. If you can get him on either of those champions, that's you've got a decent front line. You've got Caps on a very, very comfortable champion. When it comes to the bot lane, just give them something safe. Let Reckless play something. Give him the Ezreal. He doesn't want to play the champion, however, it's probably the safest champion that he can pick to still be very, very viable throughout the rest of the game. Give Hylissang anything that he can, such as the Rakan, such as the Braum, maybe even the Morgana. Just let him play a really, really comfortable champion and just sort of let the top half of the map with the top jungle and mid carry the game from there on out. In regards to Royal Never Give Up, with their win condition, it's probably going to be what they've been doing for the full group stages, and that's just to funnel everything into Uzi. Get Uzi fed, let Uzi carry, protect Uzi, let Uzi win the game. It's most likely what they're going to go ahead with. They may, of course, switch it up at any given point, but realistically stick with what works. That has been working throughout the knockout stages. Maybe not to the results that they would have preferred, considering that they had lost a couple of games, but give them a champion, let him do what he needs to do, and he'll be able to carry Royal Never Give Up to the finals. Looking at the Flash Wolves versus Kingzone match, as I said, Kingzone are underperforming. Now, a lot of people are saying Kingzone will look a lot better in the best of 5. Flash Wolves have been overperforming. Whether or not they'll be able to perform in the best of 5 is unknown until we actually see the games, of course. But looking at it just now, they do have the head-to-head against Kingzone. They are playing a lot better than Kingzone have been. Now, the Flash Wheels, they're winning points, they're winning condition. You want to go back to what you've done at the start. They did try and change a couple of things up at the end of the group stages. They weren't playing to how they were originally playing at the end of the group stages. Go back to basics, go back to exactly what they were doing at the start of the group stage and do that over and over and over again. Play against what Kingzone have been known. You want the early game against Kingzone. Kingzone have shown that they're not able to perform very well from behind, at least at this tournament. If you're Flash Wolves, get yourself an early game jungler, get yourself an early game bot lane, and play around the bot lane and snowball from that point on. Kingzone, so if you are Kingzone and you're looking to win as Kingzone, your winning conditions are essentially the same. You want to funnel it into the bot lane. You want to keep your bot lane ahead. You want to be able to push for objectives. That's how they've been winning their games. They stick from the bot lane, they push for objectives. They win the game through macro, they win the game from rotating the map. Don't try and fight Flash Wolves early. Flash Wolves do have a very, very good early game, especially against the Korean teams. Don't fight them early, play safe, play the objective, play the map. They'll win the game that way. So, just looking at the end of the podcast, essentially, just as a summarise, just for the remaining 4 teams, Royal Never Give Up are most likely going to put all their eggs into the Uzi basket. Flash Wolves, Hanabi, Maple, playing fantastic, get the early lead, snowball the games. Fnatic, you want to get caps ahead, you want to make sure the top lane is strong, you want to make sure the top lane is staying stable and ahead. Get Broxot on a very good engaged jungler like the Trundle and keep bot lane safe. If Reckless is unwilling to play Ezreal, get him on a safer champ. Don't give bot lane the opportunity to absolutely steamroll Fnatic. Don't give Uzi a carry champion like the Kog'Maw, like the Kai'Sa. Try and get him on a more utility based AD carry if possible. If not, give Fnatic the safe lane. Do not let them get snowballed. Kingzone, they want to snowball the early leads. Get the first turret, get the first dragon, rotate the map. Don't have early fights with Flash Wolves. Flash Wolves are fantastic at having early games. Kingzone, they just want to get early leads, small early leads, play the macro game, do the 5v5 because Kingzone do have a fantastic team fighting ability and just carry it on from there. So that is the second podcast for League of Legends MSI. Again, all reviews, all feedback, all criticism, it is more than welcome. I would like as much feedback as humanly possible. It is something that I would like to try and do on a weekly basis, if not fortnightly basis, and it's something that I would like to keep going. Any feedback is more than welcome. I will be posting this at the moment on SoundCloud and YouTube. In the future, hoping to get it on Spotify, maybe iTunes, but not for now. And I do hope you enjoyed. If there's anything else that you want to feedback, if there's any information that was incorrect, please let me know. All of the information that I've given today is correct to the best of my knowledge, but if there's anything not there, please forward that on to me if you do take the time to listen. If you do take the time to listen and enjoy it, just let us know, leave us a comment. I will be posting it on Reddit, to the League of Legends subreddit and the podcasting subreddit. It will be posted on YouTube as well if you want to leave any sort of comments there. But again, thanks for listening. If there's any information you would like to feedback, that'd be grateful. Thank you.